Welcome back to Dirty Pretty, the space where we own our feelings, honor our experience, share unfiltered truths, and talk shit, all through a lens of love. Today, it's just me, no guest, no feature. Well, I mean, I'm the guest, I'm the feature, and hey, how you doing? I realized as I was getting ready to release my next Dirty Pretty episode that I hadn't been coming and talking to myself. I've been having so much fun with guests and all the features and really learning a lot about them, learning a lot about life, learning a lot about myself, and having those things converge that I just really was feeling that flow. And then I decided, let me come and have a conversation with you about the topic that I'm talking about today because it's something I've been receiving feedback and question from you on. And the topic is, why did I decide not to heavily edit my Dirty Pretty feature interview series episodes? And there's a really good reason behind this. I try and do everything with intention. And for those that don't know, I don't know if I've ever talked about it in this space, Dirty Pretty took me 3 years to develop. It started out as being just a concept, an idea, something I presented to my friends. If you watch the episode with Katasha Lloyd, you'll understand that. And if not, go back and check it and inform yourself. But ultimately, it took a little bit of time for me to really understand what it was Dirty Pretty was giving me, what it was calling me to do, and what it is I wanted to utilize that calling to service and contribute to society with. And so the reason why I decided not to heavily edit the episodes and cut out, really long pauses, filler words, and really, for the most part, allow people to just be their genuine, authentic self is that is the basis of what Dirty Pretty is. Life is dirty and pretty. As I always say, as Ron Dass says, it is horrendously beautiful. And that those competing opposites, that juxtaposition of life is so fascinating to me. I find that one of the biggest hangups that we have as humans is accepting that we're dynamic. And the more that we resist that we're dynamic, the more we utilize, the more that we fall out of realization with what it means to utilize a dynamic equilibrium, allowing ourselves to be angry and calm, right? Allowing ourselves to feel hurt and at peace, and allowing ourselves to realize things like healing, love, growth, they're continual. They're an evolution. Just like you evolve, what you go through and how you experience life will evolve. How you heal and the things you encounter will evolve. You will evolve as a person. And so being dynamic is not a static thing. It's not a bow and arrow thing you can shoot a target at and hit it and boom, there you are, dynamic. No, it grows and changes because you grow and change. And so I liken life to finding your through line. It's like learning how to water ski or wakeboard or walk a tightrope. Walking your through line in your life is learning how to find what equilibrium and balance means for you. What it means for me ain't gonna likely be the same that it means for you. We could have crossover in some areas, but for some people, you can just be a wholeheartedly repellent, not a match. Right? But there's still an opportunity to love those peoples that we don't match with in spaciousness, to be like, those are choices I wouldn't make. It doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make me right or more superior in the way that I move. We're just different. Maybe we're not a match, and I can love them for that difference. And oh, by the way, what I don't like now, I can come back around and like again. Or if a relationship breaks, we can always come back around and reunite, have forgiveness, and unite again. This is a dynamic equilibrium. And so a part of the podcast and the part of the interview series does just that. I find that in our day to day, the more people that I talk with, the more people I coach with, the more that I experience myself in life, everything is so fast. Right? You go to social media, you go to internet, instant accessibility. Chat GPT makes thinking go so much faster, right? AI makes everything go so much faster. Life is so much faster. And so, as a result, for those of us that need to take time to be introspective, which I think is all of us, because we are all empathic beings in my perspective, is about allowing ourselves to go at the pace with what we face. And every single one of us has our own pace. Some things we hit it and boom, we are Johnny on the spot. We're lighting that shit up. We are fast and we are furious with it. Other things, I have an itch, other things are not that fast. And so sometimes we do need to have a conversation and we do need to say, I don't have an answer for that. And it's not going to be today because I have other things that I do need to do. So I'm going to need to put a pin in this and come back to it. And I have noticed that in our cultural communication, that has become something that is maybe undesirable. That has become something that we have used to judge each other in a disparaging way and label someone maybe less informed or less intellectual, less intelligent, less excellent at what they know, what they don't know, and a less, lesser form of being. And also, when we allow ourselves to realize that we're moving at a really fast pace, it gives us the opportunity to not be so rushed in our decision making, not only in live conversation, but just in general, to know that sometimes we need to have a moment to slow down, to process what we're facing, to really put our arms around it, and to make an intentional decision. I grew up with someone who had a stutter, and part of learning how to help that individual to communicate in a clear way for themselves was to understand that when talking goes at a fast pace or there's a pressurized element to conversation, it can cause an individual to become anxious, shut down, and choose not to say anything at all, which then can cause them to internalize things and cause the communications that they have in general throughout the day or throughout life to have a stutter involved because they're still internalizing the emotions that they've been dealing with all day long, so that when they go to communicate something presently, that ongoing wrestling with what they're dealing with because it's been internalized is still actively happening inside of them. And so the stutter is trying to reconcile with what they want to say now with what they're still processing. The other part of it that I learned is that when we rush people to talk, they can stutter. I do it. I have done it several times in this conversation alone while I'm trying to figure out and make sense of the thoughts that are coming to me because my brain works really fast. And so sometimes as thoughts come to me, my version of a stutter, and maybe yours, can be you're talking, 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 and all of a sudden you're like, shit, what the fuck was I saying? Like I lost my train of thought. That's like a brain stutter, right? Or thoughts are coming so fast and you're so excited and they have so much resonance that you're trying to articulate them that you stutter over yourself in trying to get them out. And so I really wanted to encourage in Dirty Pretty with the minimal amount of editing that people have the right to communicate at their pace. And it is a capacity that we have to choose for ourselves, to build for ourselves, to communicate and go at our own pace, but also to have the capacity to hold space with other people so that we can sit with each other in uncomfortable silences. We can sit with each other while we don't have answer for things and we're figuring them out. We can sit with each other in anxiety while we're experiencing it or we're experiencing the unknown. Either way, I wanted to, and I say this to all the guests while they're speaking in the context of the conversation, to just understand that I'm going to leave those long pauses in because sometimes those long pauses are really important. I know for me, through the past several years, I've shared publicly, I've shared on this platform several times that after my dad passed away, this really integrated for me. As I said a long time ago in my past, I worked with family members and as a unit of our family to understand a family member that had a stutter and how to encourage them to know that they had space, to know that they had time to communicate, to know that just because the rest of us are going really fast and talking really loud, because we're really loud in my family, there's an opportunity for them to pause and say, I have something I would like to say. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong to say, I need a pause because I'm not feeling really comfortable inside of all this loudness and outside of all of this activity and all this energy and what can feel like chaos to them, to communicate myself calmly and coherently. And so when my dad passed away, that thought came to me and it was integrating into me because it was very unexpected, my dad passing away, and we needed all hands on deck. It was a really big blow to my family. And so I took some time to shut my business down. I siphoned out my business. I coached only the clients that I felt excited about and truly aligned with. And I took a real hearty, integral look at myself to be in honor and integrity with what I wanted to contribute as a coach, what I want to contribute to society as a human being, and operating in integrity and knowing where I'm at max for my capacity. And in regards to coach, knowing where I'm at capacity to show up in excellence in my skill set, and also to know where I needed to take care of me. And I only had a certain amount of space to be able to take care of my clients, to be able to operate in friendships, and to just be an active member of society in the world. And so I wanted to come today and share this with you because I've been hearing a lot from you. Some of you have been saying, wow, I love that you are not editing this podcast. It's giving me permission to be messy with myself. And that's something that I struggle with, guys. Like, I struggle with being messy. I like to look nice and I like things to be organized. I think that's a part of my autism is I have a very systemic brain and my brain likes functionality. And being a really empathic individual, emotions can feel really out of control sometimes. And so I had to learn how to create a decipherable channel between my head and my heart because emotions felt like just the wild, wild west to my systemic, logical side of me. And so allowing me to recognize that being a mess is difficult requires me to be in my feelings, requires me to in my own edges, in my own capacity, my own limitations, there's a desire for me to push that boundary. I'm not saying that you have to, there's a desire for me because I love mess. I love things that are interesting. I love spontaneity. I love adventure. I love chaos. So I had to learn how to work with the parts of me that made that messiness into a distortion, into something that's negative. And so if you're watching this now, just take that piece, that soundbite, what I've said about distortions and how they come across as negative and knowing that there's positivity and there's gifts within them, to take it and pause and ingest that as sometimes our mess is not something that we can nor we should eradicate. And I want you to take heed of that and process that, not only for the messaging of it, if it's congruent and vital for you, but also because I have something coming for you in the next coming weeks. It's going to help you to start working through understanding the gifts within your distortions. And so that is the next leg that I'm going through, right? Dirty Pretty was my first step back after, shutting my business down and coming to a place of acceptance in my grief over a lot of things, not just my dad's passing, but over myself, to come in and be like, let's get messy, bitch. Because messy is where life is fun. Messy is where there's excitement. Messy is where there's the unknown of surprise. But as I said, messy is also something that my neurotic side goes, no, no, that's out of control. No, no, that doesn't make sense to me. No, no, I can't immediately process that. Messy can require us to sit with ourselves. It can require us to be patient with ourselves and other people. And so I wanted to share why not editing the podcast was important because you asked me about it and you also told me that you liked it. But also for those of you that are having difficulty sustaining watching and staying with the interview series because you're so used to things being sound bites or in 5-minute intervals. I have this same issue. I will only engage in content that really captivates me. Most things that have a long caption, I'm likely not to read unless it gets me right out of the gate with something that's important and vital and interesting to me. But then because of that, sometimes I miss out on things because I'm not allowing myself to stay with something a little bit longer to really understand it, to value it. And so there's a balance there, right? Sometimes I can stay with things too long and it wastes my fucking time and I get pissed the fuck off at myself because I know better. But that becomes a part of balancing the equilibrium. And other times I walk away from things too soon and I lose my patience. And then I miss out on things, miss out on the golden nugget of those things, the gift of those things, because I'm not allowing myself to meet my edge of that messiness and see where it's challenging me and making me want to walk away and abandon something. Whereas there's an opportunity for me to say, is it possible for me to stay 1% longer and just see if it really is worth me leaving? So then I can walk away with intention and knowing that wasn't for me, right? So there's a balance to this messiness, to this dynamic equilibrium, to this dirty pretty of life. And it was incongruence for me to challenge myself in a way that challenges the things about society that I don't necessarily like. I like instant gratification as much as the next person, but I also like creating space for people. And when we're used to, in life, in the things of life as well, creating space for things in life and what we're going through and what we face and just life at freaking self to get really the most robustness out of it. And so if we're constantly in a rush and we're constantly rushing through our messiness, we're not able to see where the distortion lies in how we're behaving. And we're not able to see where the gift lies in how we're behaving. And when we allow ourselves to come to peace with those things, we get to create that decipherable communication channel, and we get to walk with more intention and to feel more convicted in what we do and how we behave and how we engage in the world. So, if any piece or part of you relates with this, please share the dirty, pretty conversations with people in your life. Please give it a like, please subscribe. And as I said, please share it, but with people that you think it would be meaningful for, right? And do what feels in integrity for you. Allow yourself to see where you're rushing yourself. Allow yourself to see where maybe your head is dominating your life and your heart is taking the back seat, or vice versa, right? Allow yourself to see where there's opportunity to create a decipherable communication channel with what your intention is for life and how you are and are not showing up in integrity for what it is you want and who you are. As always, be good to yourself for fuck's sake. Live honestly in the dirty pretty of your life and choose to do the next right thing for you. Until next time.